Anointed warriors and ambassadors of God, or this universal elite power that we most commonly refer to as God. Hey, welcome to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry, where I'm your host, Brother Minister Mongoose, and where this ministry is living and promoting a holistic mind, body, and spirit path to life, to health and wellness, and of course, to running and fulfilling the race that He has set before us. This ministry firmly believes that if and when one is able to properly merge, balance, and synthesize the mental, spiritual, and physical potential, it allows one to establish an even greater connection with this universal power. And furthermore, it also increases one's ability to live a more purposeful and a more fulfilling life. So, if these things sound like they are something that you are interested in, I'd invite you guys to watch a video that's titled MBS Service Tutorial. That video is going to lay out to you the specific services that are provided by this ministry in an effort to help you achieve this wholeness and this balance that I just referenced. Furthermore, on the aforementioned video, MBS Service Tutorial, these services are going to be listed and they're going to be broken down in each category, explaining to you, laying it out, what these services consist of. Again, it's going to list the services, but it's also going to follow that up by specifically detailing what they consist of, how they're implemented, and how they can benefit you and your loved ones. There's another video that's important, guys, if you'd like to get some important upfront type of disclosure information about me and what makes me a different kind of minister, and I am, guys. You may want to watch a video that's titled My Testimony and Disclosure. So having said that, guys, I want to again take a quick moment to officially welcome you guys to the channel. I value all of you guys, first-time viewers, those who are somewhat new to the channel, and of course the long-time viewers, subscribers, and supporters of the ministry. I send you guys out a special / an additional shout of love, thanks, and appreciation. But I value each and every last one of you guys. First-time viewers, long-time subscribers and supporters, all the guys in between those two categories, if you will. Let me encourage you to always live a life in a very meaningful, in a very tangible way that prioritizes, and this is going to be seguitive of today's message, but live a life that prioritizes faith over fear, truth over tradition, knowledge over nonsense, love over lust, and people over profit. That's what I got for you guys in terms of the opening. And again, some of those, particularly the faith over fear and knowledge over nonsense, and pretty much all of them, are going to be seguitive and related to today's topic in particular. Although I'd like to think they're related, or can be applicable in all of the messages that are presented by this ministry. But today's message is based on covenant. And I'm going to be giving some thoughts on that, and I'm also going to be referring to a movie that's going to highlight a very, very excellent example of what it means to have a covenant and to honor that covenant. Now, we have a covenant with this thing that's most commonly referred to as God. Some people, refer to it as a law. Some people as, Christ consciousness. Other people as infinite intelligence. Whatever word or phrase you choose to put in there, it's all, I'm okay with it all. But we have a covenant with it. We have a covenant. And that covenant, we know the definition of the word covenant. But in this particular message, and I'll be brief, not only will I, lay out or give an example of a covenant in the movie, but I'll also use this movie and this message to draw, to highlight what it means to be a member of the 144,000 and what it means to be a member of what we refer to as the chosen ones. This movie that I'm about to mention, and I don't need to be secretive about it, the movie itself is actually called The Covenant. And I'll talk about who's in it and why it's relative to today's message. But we have, as members of the 144,000 and those of my spiritual family members who are amongst the group that we refer to as the chosen ones, there's a covenant. The 144,000 are born with this spirit in them, this spiritual covenant with this thing that we call God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And those of my spiritual family members who are amongst the chosen one, they have the potential, they have the divine spark within them, but everything hasn't been predetermined in their lives as it has been predetermined in the lives of the 144,000. So those who are amongst what we call the chosen ones, they always have a choice to opt in, to opt out, to go a little ways, to turn back, to go halfway, to ignore the call altogether. This is what the good book means when it says many are called, but only a few are chosen, because only of those, as it relates to the chosen ones, only those who endure to the end, only those who go through the necessary steps to keep on developing by way of this thing we call the universe, continuing to develop that potential, that divine spark that's in them so that it grows into complete and total flourishing. The 144,000, they're born with it, with this spark. It's predestined to automatically grow to full flourishing. Everything in the lives of the 144,000, everything's been predestined before the earth was even founded. So it may seem like they have, /we, it may seem like those of us who are amongst 144,000 have choices and have options. It may seem like, I stopped drinking because, this is, I hurt somebody, or, whatever. It seems like you decided then, but it was predestined by the stars, / by the universe, / by God, that at that particular time, that's when it was meant for you. It was determined, it was predestined for you to stop drinking, lose weight, get a job, lose money, start a relationship, end the relationship, whatever. Everything's been predetermined. So you got one group, those of us who are amongst 144,000, everything's been predetermined. And then you got our spiritual family members, the chosen ones, who from out of the group of the many that will be called, those who will be chosen is the ones that endure to the end and continue to push forward regardless of the trials, tribulations, setback, hardships, whatever. So from those two categories within this movie titled The Covenant, you get a good example of both of those different aspects of what it means to be in the family of this thing we call God. And the reason why you get both of those two examples in this movie is because on one hand of the movie, you could easily see that the two gentlemen in the movie, and the stars of the movie is Jake Gyllenhaal, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Jake, Gyllenhaal. So I'm calling it Gyllenhaal, but pardon me if I'm butchering that. And then the co-star is Dar Salim, D-A-R Salim, S-A-L-I-M. Pretty sure the movie came in about 06, somewhere thereabout. It's a military movie. And it's if you aren't into the up close type of violence that would take place on the battlefield in a real life military scene, if you aren't comfortable with that kind of violence being depicted on the movie screen, then this movie is not for you, because it is up close. It's a violent movie, and it's about a real life story that took place in Afghanistan. So in this movie, you have a premium example of not only what a covenant means and an example of a covenant, but you also get, on one hand, these gentlemen, they both had an option to quit. They could have quit when they were ahead. They didn't have to risk it any further. They could have walked away, saved their own skin. And they had multiple options to do that. Multiple outs, if you will. Because when the road got dangerous, the road got treacherous, the road became confusing, the road became lonely for both of these guys. And they had a covenant with one another. So that's a good depiction, if you will, of the life of a chosen one. See, because things will get confusing, things will get lonely, things will get hard, brutal, things will become confusing, things will become dangerous. The good book says that in these days and times, some will be beheaded, some will be jailed, some will be imprisoned, excommunicated, just for carrying this thing that we call the light. What most people would refer to as Christian persecution. Like, these are real things. So as a chosen one, walk in that path, the same example that takes place in that movie, where either of these guys had a chance to say, okay, I've done my fair part. I've put in the work. I've struggled. It's hard. It's difficult. I went through some dangers, but that's it. I can't go no more. That's it. I showed my loyalty. I showed my heart. I showed my commitment. That's it. But that's not what a covenant is. A covenant don't say you show your loyalty, you show your commitment, you go through some fire and then decide you want to opt out. Well, you just violated the covenant. A good example of that would be when people get married, for example. They take that vow that say for better or for worse. But unfortunately, when better does go to worse, and then worse goes from worse to even worse, then they pull out of that covenant. So that could be likened again unto those of my spiritual brothers and sisters who are amongst the chosen one. There's always going to be that out. There's always going to be that out, to where on a surface level, key word, on a surface level, no one could even blame you, or in this movie, no one could even blame those guys, because they had gone through the fire. They had gone through bloodshed. They had gone through fatigue. They had gone through, all kinds of battlefields. So on the surface, no one could legitimately fault them for saying, hey man, I gave it all I had. No one could legitimately fault them. So the lives of a chosen one, that's what you're going to be facing. The option to always, exit stage left if you want. If things get too tough, you feel like you've done enough, you can't take it anymore, there's always going to be that option to take, exit stage left. And in doing so, forego your right, forego your right to entering in this thing we call heaven, and to forego the commitment, the covenant that you have with this thing called God. So the movie depicts that. And it yet also depicts the fact that, as I mentioned, in the lives of the 144,000, there is no choices. There is no options. And so these men, because and this is the depiction, this is the analogy I'm using, because they had that 144,000 membership. Even though things got hard, even though things got lonely, got bloody, got confusing, they became discouraged. And they essentially wanted to quit. They couldn't. They couldn't. Something inside of them, despite all of the hardship, the bloodshed, the fatigue, the loneliness, the confusion, the loss, they couldn't quit. They couldn't quit. And there's a certain part in the movie, again, for both of them, where to quit right then and there, when it seemed like you had given your all, no one could blame you. They couldn't quit. They had that spirit that wouldn't let them quit. And this is true in the lives of the 144,000. There is no opting out. The 144,000, you may want to opt out. And you probably want to quit, but you don't know how. You can't. All you know is to keep going. All you know is to stand on the standard that He has required you to stand on. And so it's a movie that highlights that, and I think it's a very good depiction. So when I was finishing up the series that I just posted, which was titled, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a 5-part series that's titled The Age of Aquarius, Demons, the 144,000, and the Chosen Ones. So to essentially put a bow on that, and that series has been officially concluded, this is a follow-up to the message that was addressed when it came to the last 2 chapters of that series, and those last 2 chapters being the 144,000 and the Chosen Ones. What's the difference? So in an effort to really, really just put a bow on that and say, hey, here's a good example. That's when the movie came to me, The Covenant. Because, again, in both of these, in the same one story in the movie, based on true real-life events, in that same one story, dealing with the same 2 characters, you can see both the path of the chosen ones, who will always have that option to quit, give up, opt out, pull out of the covenant. You could see that in these 2 characters in this movie. And then you can also see the spirit of the 144,000, that even though they had the chance and they at times wanted to give up, literally, there was something inside of them that they couldn't give up. They couldn't quit. They couldn't opt out of that covenant. So again, I believe it came out in 2006. It did okay at the box office, but just based on the storyline or the real life story behind it, and based on what it's all about. It's about loyalty. It was about commitment. It was about perseverance. It was about determination. It was about what we say, the heart of a lion, the never quit, never give up attitude. It was about a covenant that they had made between themselves. And you and me, we have a covenant with this thing called God. And on our journey, we will be faced with trials, tribulations, metaphorical bloodshed, pain, suffering, loss, etc., etc. And that's if you are amongst the chosen ones, and certainly are if you're amongst the 144,000. So the point that I'm making there is, so long as you don't quit on Him, He is not going to quit on you. Nor is He going to halfway deliver you. He's not going to get you halfway out of the fire. He's not going to prosper you halfway. He's not going to heal you halfway. He's not going to save you or deliver you halfway. He has a covenant with you. And what's required of you is to honor the covenant that you have with him. 144,000 again don't have a choice. My spiritual family members that are amongst the chosen ones, you have a choice, but just like in this movie, you can always choose to make that choice, apply that choice towards keeping on going, keeping right on going. Covenant, what would you call it? Synonyms of covenant. It's agreement. It's an official or formal agreement. It's a legal contract. It's a promised commitment, a sworn oath. All of these things. And other synonyms, of course. But a covenant, it's an agreement, a formal agreement. It's a legal contract, a promised commitment, a sworn oath that's based on, that's forged in honor, integrity, and commitment. So where are you on your journey? How are you doing when it comes to the covenant that you have with this thing that we call God? And again, this particularly relates to my spiritual brothers who are amongst the chosen ones, because those of us that are amongst 144,000, we know we don't get a choice. We may get the illusion of choices, just like in these movies, just like in this movie that I mentioned. Both of those guys kind of decided, you know what? I bet if I quit right now, no one would blame me. And they had that illusion temporarily that, you know what, they could just opt out. They fought hard enough. They fought long enough. They suffered long enough. They've been loyal long enough. And they may have, from a human standpoint, had that delusion, well, you know what, I'm going to choose to keep going. No. They couldn't quit. And when they tried to quit, it irked them in a way. It was so out of bounds with what they could do that they couldn't even actually do it. So check that movie out, man. Again, I must let you know it's a violent, it's an army, it's a military movie. It's based on a real story. But again, I think it highlights in a very poignant way what we face on this journey. 144,000 and the chosen ones. Check that movie out, guys, and know that you have a covenant. He's made a covenant with you. When he gave the 144,000 that divine spark that said, hey, when you get this age, after you've gone through this trial, that trial, you've made this mistake, you've made that error, that blunder, you've had this failure, that success, when you're at this age, and it's time released. The activation is time released to be activated. When he gave that to the 144,000, and he said he gave that to them before the foundation of the earth was even made, he established a covenant with them. And he and they with him. God, universe, whatever you want to call it. And the same thing goes true when it comes to the chosen ones. When he woke them up, and remember, everybody's not going to receive the call. I mentioned this in the aforementioned 5-part series that I just touched on. Not everybody that's walking the planet is even going to receive the call. Most people are just going to be so blinded, so much in fear, so distracted, so greedy, lustful, whatever. They're not going to even get that tug on the shoulder that says, hey man, there's a better way. The way you're living, the way the world is headed, open your eyes, check this out. Not most of them not even going to get the call, period. And then some are going to get the call, and everyone that gets that call, he puts that divine spark within them. There's a divine spark that's in them that says, hey, you're not amongst 144,000, but if you nourish this, if you keep moving forward, if you provide the nutrition by way of your hard work, your labors, your commitment to moving forward and making these developments and following the Lamb wherever he goes, then you can continue to build that spark / your soul. They could continue. The chosen ones have an option, is the point that I'm making. But either way, it's a covenant. Hey, he said, I'm going to put this spark in you, and I'm going to give you the potential to make it, to grow it by way of continuing to connect with him. And all I want from you is for you to keep your covenant that you're going to keep nourishing it, keep watering it, pulling up the weeds around it, etc., etc. But it's all based on a covenant. And trust me, he is not a man that he should lie. He can't make a mistake, and he can't go back on his word. He is like 2 + 2 being 4. It's permanent. It's eternal. It's irreversible. So you don't have to worry about him not keeping his end of the covenant. Where are you? If you'd like some more information, if you'd like some encouragement, if you'd like some resource material, etc., reach out to this ministry. I love the opportunity to assist you. That's the express purpose for which this ministry has been established. So with that, I'll prepare to exit today's message. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and encourage you guys to please visit the physical fitness branch of the ministry located at mountfitnessmbs.com. Watch the MBS service tutorial video message. Again, it's going to lay out the specific services, what they consist of, all that good stuff. If you have a follow-up question, or perhaps if you'd like to schedule your initial consultation and evaluation in some or even all of the services that are provided by this ministry, upon or contingent with what you get out of that aforementioned message about the services, hey, reach out. I'm going to leave an email link down in the description. I'd love the opportunity to speak with you. You know the golden question that I close with, guys, just as I do. And that question is, did you get anything of value out of today's message? Anything at all? Because if you did, that's a clear indication that someone else can also get value out of today's message. And we know he doesn't give us love and money and confidence and compassion and joy. He don't give us these things for us to keep them to ourselves. He gives us this thing so we can go out and nourish and flower, populate the society, share these things with others. And I know that you wouldn't be still watching this message. I'm 30 minutes in, pretty much. So it would definitely mean a lot to this ministry if you reach over there and hit that share button. And quite honestly, guys, it could mean even more to the person that actually receives that message from you. So hit the share button if you would, please. And then if the Holy Spirit moves you to do so, then follow up by hitting the thumbs up button and then also hitting the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. And then be sure to hit the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications when I upload a new message. If the Holy Spirit moves you to make a monetary donation to show your thanks, your support, and or your generosity towards or for this ministry, I'm going to leave a Cash App link down in the description box. And remember that absolutely no amount is too small. Also remember that in whatever way the Holy Spirit moves you to show your thanks, your support, and your generosity towards this ministry, you will receive an abundant harvest, shaken down, pressed together, and running over, because he promised you that. So please, receive it by faith, as I simultaneously receive by faith your continued love, generosity, and support. Thank you guys so very much. Last but not least, guys, it's a mind, body, and spirit ministry. So if there's anything, that you need, that this ministry can be of service to you when it comes to your mind, your body, and or your spirit, regardless of your age, regardless of your health, regardless of what situations you may be facing. I'm not making light of any of it. But what I'm saying is this ministry has been raised up, appointed, anointed, and assigned to help you make sure that regardless of those things, your mind, your body, and your spirit can remain healthy, beautiful, and vibrant. If there's anything this ministry can do to help you in those regards, please reach out. Again, thank you for all the love and support. I will see you guys in the next one. Honor that covenant, because he's always going to honor his end of the deal. Watch that movie. Give me some feedback. Some of you guys may already be aware of it. But either way, listen, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. I'm Brother Minister Mongoose, and I will holler back. Peace.